Hello, welcome to Gota Men's Issues. Inini starangu ndinonzi Lawrence, and as usual today on a Friday, I promised you kuti my Fridays tichange tine my guests, and today we've got a guest that we have in our midst whom I'm going to be introducing to you very soon. Ndinotenda kuti muri kuitirwa zvakanaka nechirongwa chedu. Remember, as always, on Monday we broadcast as well. Tinenge tine my general topics. Sometimes tinenge tisina zvedu my guests my Mondays, and then on Fridays ndo patinenge tina guest. Feel free every time kana muine zvamunenge muchida kuti tidiscuss, kana muine topic yamunoda kuti titaure nezvayo, and all sorts of other things. Feel free kunyora in the inbox or in the comment section. As you are watching the program, please make sure you share with other people and let other people know kuti chirongwa chedu chatanga. So we've moved our time. At the moment tinenge broadcast at 1 p.m. Central Africa time and 9 p.m. Melbourne time. Ndongo dzatakufamba nadzo tinoziva kuti taimbosita manheru Central African time and ari makusenzesa Melbourne time, but vemelbourne vacho vakakomplaina vakati tanzwa nekumukira, so tikati alright tipe vamwe masikati. But welcome to our program. Tinokugamuchirai kuchirongwa chedu. Nasi we've got a man whom I have known probably all my life. We grew up together, takakura tese, tikaenda kuchikoro tese. Ndandi zvangu kumashure kwake mchana chero izvi zvinoda kuti wange mudhara, but we have known each other all our lives. The man that we have today is Mr. Petros Machovo. Mwene mutapa vachazokutsanangurira zvavo kuti iri kuti mwene mutapa iri vakuona munhu mutapa in estate area yagadzirwa kumusha uku, or where is it coming from? So the man that we have today is a nurse. He has been a nurse for 20 years now, for about 20 years now. And not just a nurse, he's also a midwife. And he has done a lot of other specialties, which he's going to explain to us, including male fertility, including fertility. These are subjects that he understands better. I think he's probably part of midwife. As I've said, he's a father. 4 girls and 1 boy, and he's also married to 1 wife. So with our guest today, before I introduce him, we are going to discuss a topic inonzi iyo subfertility, a thorn in the flesh, Munzwa mundove. Ndofunga you can see it on our timeline. Kuti ndo topic yatiri kudiscussa nezvayo nasi. Mr. Petros Machovo, welcome to the program, and you may greet the viewers as well.
Thank you, Pastor Mazenge. I hope you can hear me well. I greet all the viewers in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Right. We have got a topic that we are talking about. Nasi tulakutaura pamusoro topic inonzi subfertility. Topic iyi zvinhu zviri kuitika kuvanhu vakawanda, especially kuvarume and vanhu vari married. Asi the term rekuti subfertility, it's a new term to so many people. Vanhu vakawanda vanga vachindibvunza kuti zvinorevei kuti subfertility. Vamwe ndanchizovati endai kuGoogle, vamwe ndozovati itai so. You are the expert. Toda kuti mutitsanangurire kuti icho chinombonzi subfertility chi, as we start our program.
Thank you, Pastor Lawrence. Sub, from the word sub itself, means less. So when we talk of subfertility, we are talking about, in this case, we talking about a male. It can also apply to a female. We are talking of somebody who is less fertile. But we refer to it as subfertility because there is a chance for correction. If we say infertility, it means infinite. The person will never be fertile again. There is no chance to recover. But subfertility means there is reduced chances of fertility, but there is a chance of the person being fertile again if other measures are put into place. Okay.
All right. Thank you. So subfertility is different from infertility, like what you have just said. how do I know the difference between subfertility and infertility? Ngazi say this is infertile and this is just subfertility.
These two terms can be interchanged. You know, of late, people will just refer it as infertility. But with more research coming up, scientists have agreed that it's better to call it subfertility because there are remedies that are in place for corrective measures to be put in place so that at least the person can actually have children again. So many people in the layman's language, they can still call it infertility, but it's more practical and more scientific to call it subfertility.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So my question yanga iri pakuti saka ndinofana kutomirira kunge pane matests ere anogona kuitwa kuti ndionekwa kuti iyi isubfertility kana kuti iyi infertility. Why ndiri kubvunza izvozvo is because mazuva ano nyika yacho yatakurarama, I don't know kuti zviri kufamba sei. Kune mishonga yakutengeswa especially yechivanhu yekuti unonzwa kuti izvi zvinokusimbisa pabonde, izvi zvinoita kuti ukwanise kuita vana, zvakazodai zvikadai. Munhu asati anorizota kuti ndakunonwa mishonga iyoyo, pane matests ere anogona kuitwa munhu ekuti aoneka kuti iyi ingori subfertility kana kuti itori infertility chaiyo chaiyo.
In the first place, you know, the home tests are there. There are some home tests, or the African way of doing things, or even any other cultural groups, they've got their own ways of testing whether a man is fertile or not. You know, when we were growing up, the elders would say, can you take an egg? You break an egg and you drink the whole raw egg. If you vomit, then you are infertile. You know, they used to say that. Whether it's true or not, but they would test a man like that. And there are other methods when they can give you a glass of water and they tell you to ejaculate in a glass of water. If your semen can quickly settle down at the bottom, they will say, fine, you're a real man. And if it suspends on top without settling down, they would say, you doubt if you can have children in future. There are many tests. But now some of those tests, they are logical in the sense that when sperms are fertile, they quickly absorb fluids inside them and they enlarge. So when they absorb fluids, they enlarge and they sink to the bottom of the container. But if they are not fertile, they will not absorb the fluids. So they remain suspended. It was a traditional method, but seems it yet logic. But there are other scientific methods that can be used. There are so many of them. And one of the most common one is semen analysis, where sperm count is done. When we talk of sperm count, let me explain a bit what we mean by that. When a man ejaculates, one ejaculate, meaning release of semen. What we see by our own eyes is called semen. That whitish to creamish stuff that a man releases is called semen. We don't see the sperm inside. One ejaculate is about 3 mils. 3 milliliters of semen, and one ejaculate of 3 mils can contain about 300 million sperms, because 1 mil can contain about 100 million sperms in it. So now when these tests are being done, we're talking about semen analysis, which is done to check things like the sperm count, the motility. When you talk of motility, the sperms have got a head and a tail. So the tests are done to check whether these sperms are motile movement. Are they able to swim? Because when sperms are deposited into the woman's vagina near the cervix, the opening of the womb, they must swim inside the uterus until they reach the those like arms of the uterus where they go to the fallopian tubes. Fertilization doesn't occur in the uterus. It occurs in the fallopian tubes where it meets the egg of the woman, and fertilization occurs there. So what it means is if during this test motility is compromised of the sperm, it means this man is less able, subfertile. The possibility of him being subfertile is very high because the sperms are not really able to swim fast. The sperms must swim very fast to the egg. Why do I mean that? Men sperm can survive inside the womb of a woman, outside him, the man, for about 5 days. But the woman's egg can survive after being released from the ovum, the egg basket. It can survive for about 24 to 48 hours to a much extent, but the average is about 24 hours. So what it means is, panoda nange mutangi, panoda kumanyirana, those 300 million sperms, only one can fertilize this one egg. Within a period of 24 hours, sperm rinofana kunge raswima rakwira raenda ranokonzeresa fertilization to this egg. After 24 hours, the egg will die, but the sperms will remain inside for up to 5 days. So when the test is being done, we are talking of the sperm count and talking also of the motility, whether how fast are they to swim. One of the days we may discuss the issues to do with the motility on its own. It's a very long topic. Many factors. Then the other test that is done is the hormone test, where a blood is collected from a man. Now it's blood being collected. What is being looked into? The laboratory is testing for the presence of male hormones. For a man to be virile, for a man to be able to fertilize, there should be an abundant levels of male sperm cells called testosterone. These testosterones, they should be in abundance. Also, they include the follicle stimulating hormone, the luteinizing hormones. They are needed in abundance so that a man can release sperm that is good enough to fertilize the woman's egg. So these tests are done to make sure that we get a positive result. Other things like the ultrasound imaging, they are done for females, but for males, these are done. And also we're talking about what is called the genetic karyotyping, where blood test is done for chromosomes and for any rearrangement of these sperm cells. So we check if fertility can occur. So these are some of the tests that can be done to ascertain whether a man is fertile or not. But however, there are other factors that was what I was talking about, these testicular factors. There are other factors that are not testicular. Other factors are pre-testicular. For example, a man is not able to have an erection, because for sperms to be deposited into the vagina near the cervix, there should be an erection. So any man who is not able to have an erection cannot have a child biologically. Can you get this word? Biologically, through heterosexual activities, a man cannot have children because of lack of erection. There are many factors that can cause poor erection. That, for example, we're talking of somebody with diabetes mellitus, because diabetes causes tissue problems. There is general weakness of tissues, issues to do with hypertension, issues to do with the poor diet, issues to do with the lack of exercises. A man must be active. You should be able to walk around, to run, for you to be active enough. So there are many regimes that can be put for a man, to say these yogas, athletics, etc., including relaxation of the mind. When you are stressed, you produce poor sperms. So the many factors. So these are pre-testicular issues where we are talking about. We haven't talked about the testicles themselves, but we are talking of the condition of the man. Then the post-testicular issues, they include what we talked about, where the sperm is having difficult to swim, there is obstruction. Let's talk about a man has an STI, sexually transmitted infections. For example, we are talking about gonorrhea. We are talking about chlamydia trachomatis, many other sexually transmitted infections. Now, what happens is when a man has got tubes, the epididymis, it's quite long, which coils inside the testicles. And now, when healing of long-term sexually transmitted infections occurs, it heals by what is called fibrosis. Fibrosis is very common. When we are growing up, we would do this. We rub here, okay? So there is a scar here which occurs. But later on, you discover that as you grew up, that scar would become very small. Okay. Now, what happens inside the epididymis, the tube where sperm passes through before it comes out? When it's healing, because of STIs, it might heal by fibrosis. The tube becomes small to the extent that it can close. Now, whether you had children before or not, if that occurs, you now unable to release sperm into the woman, but sperm production is occurring.
Okay.
Sperm production is occurring inside the testicles, but there is obstruction. You are unable. So now, when we refer back to those tests that we were talking about, we are referring to checking the ultrasound scan. It can give us a clue that there is obstruction which is occurring. We will discuss later on what will be the remedies to all these problems. But I was just highlighting issues to do with the test that can be done to see if the man is actually infertile or if the man is subfertile. But I would like to call it subfertility. Okay.
All right. So in other words, things like STIs, things like low sperm count, those are things that can result into subfertility. Am I right there?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
So
Yes.
mambotaura mamwe methods aishandiswa traditionally to test those things.
Yes.
How relevant are those methods today, and is there any danger of probably trying to resort to those traditional methods? Are effective? Do we have any scientific proof of their effectiveness? Kutoshandisika vanhu vagoshandisa, for example, ndogona kupai zvinoitika kumadna vanhu vanenge vachida kutesta kuti mwana ndewavo here. Traditionally vaiti tinotarisa mukati meruoko, menomitara yavanotarisa vobva vati uyu ndewedu, uyu haasi wedu. But iye zvino izvi you find kuti kune vanototarisa mukati meruoko votoconclude mwana haasi wedu, but taakuzoita madna chaiwo chaiwo onekwa kuti ndewavo. Kwete vamwe vanotarisa mukati imomo voconclude kuti uyu ndewedu, but pavanozoita madna onekwa kuti haasi wedu, which means some of our traditional methods, either because isusu hatisina knowledge yekumashandisa here kana kuti chii, they are no longer they can no longer be reliable, they can no longer be even 50% reliable, because atina handifungi kuti we are still able to be experts in them. Saka pane here ma-traditional methods amunogona kuti scientifically aya akaproviwa kuti kana ukamedza ukamwa zai ini nditori nevana vatatu izvi ndinotenda kuti ndevangu zai chairo chairo ndogona kutorutsana ndikamedza handitokwanisi even ndikanzi masupplements kana kuti tiri kuenda kugym masupplements vakangondita zvokuti isai zai riri mbishi chete I can actually vomit, but vana nditori navo vatatu kuti vakatomiswa apa handitodi dna vantonwa ndevangu. So how effective are those methods, or were those methods dzaishandiswa traditionally kutesta subfertility iyoyi?
To tell the truth, Pastor Lawrence, these traditional methods, they used to work during that era. It's like we are saying our grandfathers used to put on nembe, or we are talking about the way they used to clothe using animal skin. And we compare to today's clothes that we are putting on today. We have better alternatives. They didn't have weapons to fight. The only weapons they had were spears, arrows, bows, snob carries, etc. But if we go to battle today and we use a machine gun, obvious, no better. What it means is the methods were useful then to a certain extent because those were the methods that were there in place, but they are not very effective and not scientifically proven that these are the methods to rely. The best way to say they are not reliable. They can be used, but they are not reliable. The most reliable methods are those that are scientifically proven. When you expect a certain sperm count and you see it very low, let's say we're talking of 100 million per mil, and we see something like 5,000 per mil, for sure, this is subfertility. So those methods are less effective, and we should not encourage them. However, in the absence of the scientifically proven methods, there is no harm in one trying them, but there is no need to conclude after such a test.
All right, thank you. So you have mentioned these scientifically proven methods. Do you have a general idea or a basic idea of the costs of doing those scientifically proven methods? And do you have a general idea of the costs of having those scientifically proven methods?
These are generally laboratory tests, and they okay is per request and is per referral. For example, in Zimbabwe right now, a DNA test can range from 150 to 250, that kind of range. So I have no actual figure for the fertility tests where they can range, but we can always get it. But I think they are in that range. So for most people, they are beyond the reach of the common people. They are beyond the reach of the common people. But those on medical aid, yes, they can afford that.
Okay, thank you. Yes. Generally, kana tichikura or kazhinji kacho mumba mukashaikwa mwana kazhinji kunowanzonongedzerwa mudzimai kuti ndiye asiri kubara zvikazodai zvikadai. How can you encourage munhu wemurume, because generally varume zvekuenda kwana doctor handizoti tityei but hatinyanyozvifarira. How can you encourage munhu wemurume kuti aende kunoitwa matests aya so that munhu haagara atoconcluda kuti hatichaita vana, and agare atopomera umwe wake kuti ndiye asiri kubara. How can you encourage munhu wemurume kuti anoita matests aya in the case yekuti mafinances aripo? How can you encourage munhu wemurume kuti aende anoitwa matests kuti aone kuti zvii zviri kunetsa kuti asabate mwana in case is subfertility which can be corrected?
Oh yes. In this case, we are saying the men would have seen that something wrong is happening, isn't it?
Vari mumba havasi kuita mwana, kazhinji kunowanzongoblemwa mukadzi kazhinji kacho, zvokuti vakadzi ndivo vanogona kuenda through all those tests and so forth. But in this case yatiri kutaura inoyi yekuti vana low sperm count nezvimwe zvamatsanangura hazvinei nemukadzi, murume anenge atori neproblem. But kazhinji kutoti tizoziva kuti murume ane problem unga atoenda kunoitwa matests acho. So my question is kuti ndingaencourage sei munhu wemurume ari kuenda through this subfertility kana kuti munhu wemurume asiri kuita conceive vari mumba, ndingamuencourage sei kuti aende anoitwa matests so that zvinocorrectika zvicorrectwe mulife make?
No, thank you very much for that question. The best way is varume ngatimboonesanai tiri pagota kudai, nokuti zvatapinda mugota tiri kufanira kuti tionesane kuti pane tsumo dzevarume dzinoti kufa kwomurume kubuda. Asi ukatoona ura hwabuda hauchararami. Then vamwe vane tsumo dzakawanda dzinovataurira kuti murume risina mavanga rigoni kurwa, something like that. Most of those stereotypes, they encourage males to be macho, males to resist things that are easy to achieve. So the best way for men to understand this is for them, us men, to encourage each other like the way we are doing now at Gota, and to call up these men to come for counseling services. In particular, counseling services is important. When you sit down with a man, I'm a counselor by profession, remember also that. I've sat down with a lot of men for various subjects. And when you talk to a man, they will come to understand their worth. They will also come to understand that you have to come down from a position of denial, that it's not me. The research has proven that fertility issues are about 50-50. Where there is no child in the home, it has been seen that the possibility of a man and a woman being infertile is 50%, 50%. Therefore, it is important for the men to undergo counseling to understand that. But before we go there, let's understand something here. What is subfertility? What is infertility in particular? This is where it refers to a situation where the man is unable to impregnate a fertile woman. To impregnate a fertile woman due to various factors, which can take a long period like 12 months plus, continuously, where the two are staying together and having sexual relationships which are where there's no protection and there's no other method of family planning happening. There are many factors that can happen there. For example, we can say there is no child happening when, number one, there is poor timing occurring, timing of when to have sex. The man is fertile, the woman is fertile, but there is poor timing. There is also lack of frequency. The more a couple is having sex frequently, the broader the chances of them conceiving a child. And also the issue of healthy lifestyles. For example, cessation of smoking. Smoking is one of the problems that can occur, that can cause subfertility. Lack of exercises can cause subfertility, and also issues to do with stress. If you are highly stressed, the sperms themselves can be weak, and you can fail. We are talking of things that can be changed. So now, then there is also another issue of poor communication between couples, which might lead the woman to be a problem herself. There are many women that we have heard or talked to. They take family planning methods. They have a planning methods like Jadel, which is hidden under the skin, something inside the woman's womb, and the men will not know. They go for a year, there is no pregnancy. The woman is cheating on this man, and the man is not able to tell. So we need to rule out all these factors before we say there is failure. So when it's about the woman is having a family planning method unknown to the man, then it means the woman must be counseled. If it means there is poor timing, then there is proper timing which can actually be taught. This couple needs to be set down, and they are given notes on when they can have sex. Okay. I want to stop there. So if you want to ask me on that one, then I will expand.
No, that's okay. The other question that I wanted to ask is, so it seems like subfertility can actually develop even when we're married.
Yes.
So because I've seen some people wekuti vanogona vakatoroorana uyo atori nemwana wake uyo atori nemwana wake. But pavanosangana ivo, they can't reproduce. Could that be subfertility? And also a scenario kuti vanogona kutoita mwana one in the marriage, and then vanozotrya kuita umwe, nhumbu yacho nhumbu yotadza kutobata zvachose. Are those scenarios also probably subfertility? Because vanhu vanogona kutongoita give up, but zvinhu zvinogona kucorrectika.
Yes, that now is called secondary infertility or secondary subfertility, where primarily you conceived, now you fail. Both of you have children somewhere, which can be biologically proven. The DNA is done, and then these children are proven that they are yours. But now you are failing. One of the major cause of secondary infertility or secondary subfertility is actually STIs. There is blockage of the tubes. The tubes are blocked. Even for the females, the tubes are blocked. The fallopian tubes, they get blocked, and the egg cannot swim to meet the sperm. In the male, the epididymis is blocked, and the sperm cannot meet the egg. So this can actually happen. Yes.
Okay. All right. So
yes.
STI and low sperm count, these are some of the things that you have mentioned. It's not going to consider subfertility.
Yeah.
Do we have do you have an idea of remedies that can be used, especially on low sperm count? STI we know, but you also mentioned the fact that you're a problem. Get low sperm count first. Kune remedies ere amunoziva ari scientific. I know traditionally havana chavanoti vanokoniwa. Unongopiwa guchu rako uchinzi imwa pana wangu zvinoita se zvinoita. I'll probably bring on someone ari well versed in the traditional methods. Ndisakuise panguva yakaoma pana. Do we have any scientifically proven remedies when someone is low sperm count to chikafere chekuti munonzi mukadya ichi zvinogona kuimprove kana pane zvinhu zvokuti here mukanwa izvi zvinogona kuimprove when it comes to low sperm count?
Traditionally they are there. One of the most used are things like eggs themselves. They are used. But even before we talk of tradition itself, those which are scientifically proven, they may not help 100%, but they augment they help to improve the sperm count itself and ability for one to conceive. Things like diet which is rich in vitamin C, diet which is rich in vitamin D, diet which is rich in zinc, diet which is rich in folate or omega-3 fatty acids, etc. These things, they include things like fish, things like eggs, things like citrus fruits. We are also talking like things like white potatoes. We're talking like things like strawberries. We're talking about whole grains. Inokumusha mitakura yataidya iyaya izvo zviya nenzungu mbishi dziya handitika legumes particularly including beans, nuts, sesame seeds zviya izvi masasame zviya zvinoiswa pachingwa zviya. Organ meat, we're talking about organ meat, we're talking about zvemukati vana itsvo, vana rwatata, kidneys, moyo, dark things, and fish that I've talked about. These things, they have been proved that they can increase sperm count. They can increase sperm count. But on top of that, besides talking about diet, remedies, there are people who claim that they know some types of herbs that they can give. If you look at the contents, the scientific value of those herbs, most of them, they zero in back to what we have talked about, that they contain zinc, they contain vitamin C, they contain fatty acids, etc. So, but there are different kinds of foods that they are advocating for, but the contents of those remedies still comes back to what I've talked about. But however, there are other things that can be, these are supplements, but there are some other things that can be stopped. You can stop doing some things for you to actually start having children. Remember, sperm production occurs in the testicles, in the balls. And for sperm production to occur, there are certain temperatures that are permissible. God is an engineer. When it's cold, have you ever checked? When it's cold, very cold, the scrotal sac goes up. It goes up to protect the testicles, to protect the sperm production, so that a certain optimum temperature is preserved. But when it's hot, the scrotum goes down. It goes down, right? Why is it going down? It's because the body is trying to remove the testicles from very high body temperatures, so that the testicles, they dangle down, they are not held up where their body temperatures are very high. So what it means is, when you are putting on your pants, you're putting on your shorts, you are doing your job or your exercises, you should not burn the testicles. When you burn the testicles, you are applying for subfertility. So to reverse that, you actually need to improve on what you put on. No tight pants, put on boxers. You should not sit for long periods, like those who drive for long periods, those who take hot baths. No, you should take warm, but not hot baths. Okay? Yeah, not too cold baths. Because remember, the testicles, they moved up the balls to keep a certain type of temperature, which is slightly below the body temperature, but not too low. Okay, so those are some of the things that can be done to improve fertility. Remember, it takes up to 70 to 75 days for spermatozoon, the production of sperms to occur. So what it means is, if you had poor sperm production, we give you those 2.5 months for sperm production to occur. You improve all your conditions from diet to exercises. cessation of smoking, improvement of your lifestyle, good mindset for 2.5 months, and you go back to your spouse, you find you conceive again. You are settled. The industry for the manufacture of sperms is now active again. That is if the processes prior to that had not killed the factory already. If the factory was already dead, then we're talking of infertility. If the factory was still alive but producing at a low scale because of your poor lifestyle, then it goes up again. You start producing sperms again.
Oh, okay. No, that's so most of these things zviri kungotenderera pa lifestyle.
Yes.
Kana taakutaura zvinhu zvakaita sana STI itori lifestyle, and
Yes.
also probably ivo vana low sperm count ivava vanogona kubatsirika through the change of lifestyle as well.
Yes.
You spoke about stress as well, kuti inogona kuweakena your sperm.
Yes.
And isusu sevanhu vechivanhu generally unogona kutowedzera kuti stress nekuti hakusikuita mwana mumarriage. Saka kureva kuti sperm yako yaweakenwa nekuti une stress, and then wobva wawedzerwa futi stress pamusoro pazvo nekuda kwokuti hakusikuita mwana mumarriage. Because tikatarisa situation mararamiro ari kuita vanhu munyika yedu yeZimbabwe, especially munhu wemurume, zvinenge zvakaoma, economics dzakaoma, mari yemafees iri kudikanwa, hauna mari, kubasa husi kubhadharwa, zvinhu zvacho zvakangokuomera. Obviously you are bound to have stress. Chii chingagona kuita munhu kana kuti chii chingaita kuti ndizive kuti panapa stress ndo iri kukonzeresa maissues angu ekusaita mwana mumba? How best can I know kuti it is stress that is causing that? Kuti ndikwanise kuzokwanisa kuita come out of it and snap out of the stressful issues. How best will I know kuti stress kana kuti pamatests zvinotoburitsa here kuti une weak sperm or low sperm count or whatever it is because of stress or something? Pane zvinobuditsika here kuti stress kana kuti I don't know. Is there a way to know this is being caused by stress?
Not really. It's difficult to tell if stress is the cause. Stress, even your own self, quite often there is denial. People can tell you, hey, why are you staring at me? Are you okay? You say, I'm okay. You say, I'm okay, when you are not okay. So it will be very late for a man to realize that he's being wounded by stress. It is the last thing for a man to remember. Now it takes a good friend, it takes a good wife, it takes a good caregiver, etc., to observe. So it takes somebody else to be able to observe you if there's stress happening in your lifestyle, so as to be able for you to take you for counseling. Because the best remedy for stress is counseling, to calm you down. Remember, when a man is stressed due to lack of conception, many things will happen. Let me tell you, for a man to realize that he is infertile, you would have tried a lot of things. One of the things that a man would do is to have a girlfriend. A man will try out with another woman. And when you want to have children, obviously you have unprotected sex. And these are risk factors that we are talking about. So the best thing is for you to accept that you have a problem, and you open up for other people who are experts in that field to help you. Because when you don't do that, you then have unprotected sex with this woman. And if this woman realizes that you are desperate for a child, they will have a child with another man and they say it's your child, and then you are happy. So you can father a child who is not yours. You spend money on that child. Number two, you contract STIs, including HIV, because you are having unprotected sex. And some men will also resort to, when they are too stressed because of this subject, they can have drug and alcohol abuse. They drink and smoke to stupor because they are stressed. And to a much extent, some men can actually resort to suicidal ideation, which can lead to suicides if they not cancelled well, because they are stressed. During the old days, the family setup would be very clever. They will realize that Bamkuru is subfertile or is infertile. And then they bring in Bamnini into the house, and the Bamnini will impregnate my guru, and the children will be raised as his. And he will not know until he die, but just a few people will know. It's not right, but it used to happen. But when we're talking about stress, it's real. That's why this topic is saying this is a hidden thorn in the flesh for men, because every man would like to procreate, like what the Bible said on Genesis 1 verse 28. It said, be fruitful and multiply. So man is like to honoring this mandate to be fruitful and to multiply. And when it fails, he becomes stressed, and he would like to prove that I'm a man amongst men. During the old days, if you are within the bloodline of being a king or a chief and you don't have children, you will not succeed. You will not be crowned a king or a chief because you don't have children. So all these factors, they cause stress in a man. Quite often, men who don't have children, stress increases because they are given pseudonyms. They are given names by the community, and they are ridiculed by the community. Even small children can sing songs about them. So they want to cover up all this by resorting to all those things that I've talked about. So stress is real, but it is the last thing for a man to realize that I'm stressed.
Oh, thank you. So, ndofunga varume muri kuzvinzwira kuti sometimes you can actually magnify your problem. Kana kuti unogona kutosinga deeper. Pane connection yataurwa panapa kuti number one, you find yourself failing to conceive because you are producing weak sperm because of stress. Yo pacho pane kuti uende unobatsirwa wobva waenda unonwa doro nekuputa fodya uchiti upedze stress dzacho, but doro racho futi nefodya zvinobva zvawedzeresa zvinobva zvaweakena your sperm even further. And then sometimes unogona kuenda unotsvaga girlfriend uchida kuprova kunze kuti tokwanisa kuita mwana. Sometimes wopedzisira wachengeteswa mwana asiri wako, or wapiwa STI zvakare inova futi inokonzeresa. Saka ukasatsvaga right channels ekubatsirwa when it comes to the issue yekusaita vana, unogona kupedzisira wakutopindana nezvinhu zviri kutowedzeresa the problem. But as our expert is telling us here, unogona kuita stress nezvinhu zvinotorapika. Unogona kuzopedzisira wazvipinza muna taisireva nezvinhu zvokutonga uchingofanira kuenda kwadoctor ungononzi just start exercising kana kuti change your lifestyle. Isusu ndosaka tiri panapa veGota Men's Issues kuti tiunze zvinhu zvakaita seizvi kuti varume ngatisagarai pamabridge tichipanana masolutions some of these things. Kana chiri chinhu chiri kuda medical attention, enda unopiwa medical attention because challenge yataanayo especially nematraditional methods iko zvino ndeyekuti unogona kunopiwa mishonga, but mishonga yedu haina madoses. Ndosaka muchiona kuti mumwe anogona kutonwa mishonga yacho iyo omuka akatofa kana kuti omuka achitorwara, not necessarily because mushonga wakashata, but hatina dose yekuti zvinosvika papi, and zvimwe zvacho zvinozodamage malivers nemamwe maorgans of the body because hatina madoses akakwana. So our guest panapa vari kutitsanangurira mwene mutapa vari kunyatsotsanangurira kuti some of these things ukaregedza kudhila nazvo pazvinenge pauri kuzviona kana kuti mukaragedza kugara pasi sababa mogara pasi nemudzimai morega kutaurirana kuti how do we deal with this issue, unogona kupedzisira wanochengeteswa mwana asiri wako, kana unogona kupedzisira wapiwa STI yotowedzere damage problem, kana unogona kupedzisira wakutonwa doro nekuabuse madrugs. Zvinova futi zvinhu zvinokudamage when it comes to your reproductive system. I wanted to know something. We have maburitsa zvinhu zvese zvinogona kukonzeresa subfertility, of which it's temporary. It's not permanent.
Yes.
What can someone do for a woman? Mombotiwo advice from a men's perspective kuti munhu wechidzimai ane murume wake wokuti havasi kuita mwana mumba, panogona kuva nemasigns here ekuti this can just be subfertility, or panogona kuva nemasymptoms here ekuti this can just be subfertility before conclude that it's actually infertility. Is there any sign that this is just subfertility? Ndisati vanhu vari kungorara vari kuita bonde ravo mumba and havasi kuita zvokuisa sperm mumvura nekudii, murume ari kutoramba probably kuti handisi kuda zvokunotestwa or something. Panogona here kuva nesign yekuti iyi subfertility, kana kuti you can never know or you can never see until you go and get tested.
You can't tell the difference until you have to be tested. And like what I was saying before, you might need knowledge on what you are missing. For example, you might be missing simple things like the timing, when to have it and when not to have it. For example, a couple which stays away from each other, like these days, one can be in another town, the woman can be in the rural areas, or they're both in different towns, or one is abroad, the other one is local. What it means is you might remain a couple but not conceiving, because we have to look at the menstrual cycle of the woman. If from day one, when the woman sees the blood, that's the first day of menstruation, the first day, the woman has to count to say day 1, 2, up to 14. On day 14, she's likely to drop an egg. She's likely to drop an egg. She will be very fertile on the 14th day. However, the egg will survive for about 24 hours, but the sperm survives for about 5 days. So it is best to start having sex with this woman from day 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay. From day 10 of her, from the first day of seeing blood, from day 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, even up to the 15th, if you have sex on those days, if there is no problem with both of you, you are likely to fall pregnant. But after those days, you're just throwing stones in the water. Nothing happens. So you can stay for many months. There is no pregnancy because you are missing those days. All right.
No, that's okay. Mwene mutapa tazopedza program tsina kupai mukana kuti mutitsanangurire kuti zviri kureva kuti chi. I'm looking at our time right now. Ndikuona kuti nguva dzedu dzatifambe. I'm definitely going to bring you back, our viewers in the comment section. Please tiudzei kana muri kuda kuti guest yedu agozodzoka zvakare, because time yedu totaisa kuti hour ishoma. Ndichazokumbira vanotigadzirira chirongwa, our producers, kuti vatiwedzere our time. I just want to give you a time to give us your last remarks to the viewers. I'm going to talk about that area. I'm just giving you maybe a minute or two so that we wrap up and close our program. Mr. Petros Machovo, mwena mutapa here. Ameno mungada kuti chiva tereri wedu just before we close up our program.
Thank you very much, Pastor Lawrence Mazenge, for this privilege. What I want to say to our viewers is this: infertility or subfertility is not the end of life. Whilst you must reproduce, it may fail. But whilst you think you are failing, you may have a chance. Chances are there. Many of the chances that are there that we didn't talk about because of time, they include like in vitro fertilization, etc., where we can import a bull. We can import a bull from Australia to Zambia, but the bull remains in Zambia. The bull remains in Australia. So we can still do the same. Yes, your sperm is not very motile. The count is very small, but it can be extracted and deposited into the woman, and you can be fertile even without you having sex with a woman. There are many methods that can be done. When we sit down, we discuss that can be achieved. So men should not lose hope. However, men should not also experiment with other women. We have seen the consequences that I'm not going to repeat that can lead to disastrous ends when you do that. So I'm encouraging men to open up. Let's open up. Sit down with another man. During the old days, there used to be what is called dare. Men would sit around a fireplace and they discuss topics. Let's open up. Remember, even topics like domestic violence, etc. Men are suffering, but they don't open up. The same with subfertility. When we open up, my friend, I've been with my spouse, my wife, for 6 months, for 1 year, I'm not having a child. What's happening? Oh, you can do this, do this. Can you talk to this person? Try this remedy, etc. It works. Don't despair. Men, open out. Open up. Gota will help you. Let's come, Gota, and discuss as men. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Machovo. I'm hoping we are going to have you back on the program again, but I do not end up to mabatsirika. And musangoshingirira iye zvino izvi, we are now living in the world of science. Kuna dambudziko rinonzi iri vakatokundikana. There are many scientific methods where you can be helped kuti mukwanise kuita conceive in your marriages. Musati mafunga kuda kunoita mabhuru kunze. Don't go out there and don't give each other remedies musina kuonekwa scientifically kuti what could be the problem. That's our program for today, ladies and gentlemen. Gota Men's Issues, and we had our guest, Mr. Petros Machovo, and we were talking about the topic on subfertility. That's the purpose here, Gota. If you have anything else that you want us to discuss, any topic that you want us to discuss, whether you're a male or a female, please write into our comment section or come into our inbox of Elzeng TV and follow us on our socials as well. On Twitter, we are there. On Instagram, we are there. On TikTok, we are there as Elzeng TV, as well as on YouTube. Go and subscribe to our page. And kana kwamuri ari maskati muene zvakanaka kana ari manheru murare zvakanaka. Let's share the program and encourage as many people as possible, men and women and even boys, to come and tune into this program. Have a good day. Thank you so much, Mr. Machovo. Bye-bye. Thank you.